I'm winning. Can't tell me I'm not. Yeah. Ain't nobody gon' tell me I'm not. I'm winning. Can't tell me I'm not. Yeah. Ain't nobody gon' tell me I'm not. I'm winning. Can't tell me I'm not. Ain't nobody gon' tell me I'm not. I'm winning.
Let's go.
Nobody gon' tell me I'm not.
Both fists raised, we praise God for victory. The enemy can celebrate in the face of my enemy. The energy I used to hate no longer part of me. So pardon me for trusting the vengeance to the one who parts the sea. He paid the fee so I can go free. I call that bail money. Chasing back so you can be rich. I call that fail money. Sowing out so you can reap later. I call that well money. Wise with the talents he gave us. Yeah, that's how we coming. We ain't running, never back down. Even if we take the L, greater is the one that's in me. Then he that's in the world. We the first, cause we were last and now the roads flip. We the light and he keeps us on. The breaker never trips. We ain't running, never back down. Even if we take the L, greater is the one that's in me. Then he that's in the world. We the first, cause we were last. The roads are now flipped. We the light and he keeps us on. The breaker never trips.
I'm winning. Can't tell me I'm not. Yeah. Ain't nobody gon' tell me I'm not. I'm winning. Can't tell me I'm not. Yeah. Ain't nobody gon' tell me I'm not. I'm winning. Can't tell me.
What's up, everybody? Welcome. This is the B.Honest podcast. Yo, we are continuing to elevate this platform. We're trying something new. We are going with video in addition to the audio, man. So if you are watching this, we have a podcast you can listen to. If you're listening to this and you want to see these three handsome brothers, you know, we got to wait for you to, well, I'll say two. We got to wait for you to check us out, too.
Mike, you're not in our league, Mike.
He's not talking about you, sir. He's not talking about you,
baby.
But listen, as always, man, we are excited to be with you guys. We have a great topic today. We feel like will be beneficial for you. So we're going to start with Mike. Mike, introduce yourself to the people. I'm sure we get new listeners all the time, but our faithful know you, man. But just introduce yourself for our new listeners, and then we're going to pass it over to D.
Yo, what's up? Mike from Harlem, man. Excited to be back dealing with my brothers, man. You know, be honest. We will be honest.
All right, D.
Mike has a weird salute. I'll be watching his IG joints. It's cool. I know what he's doing, but the way he does is kind of like, you know, like he just like, he flashing like, you know, I don't know what he's doing. But anyway.
Hatred is an ugly thing. It really is. Like, that's an ugly thing to be hateful. To be hateful is a bad thing. But go ahead.
This is
you call
Denry the
yourself
Overcomer. This is Denry the Overcomer, and I'm, you know, the one from Jamaica celebrating our victory at the Olympics. I gotta say it. Shout out to all my West Indians, my Jamaicans out there. We represented, you know, and we in the house.
All right, that's what's up, man. Even though y'all only really participate in one area of the Olympics, but that's
you guys didn't even make it. You didn't even show up.
Oh yeah, we did.
Dominate one of it.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, we did.
The 4x1, you guys didn't even make it to the.
But we did in the 4x4 though. But anyway, that's not what we're talking about today. That's not what we're talking about.
That's not the Allison Felix. Come on, man. Don't act like we ain't get no medals in track and field. Stop it. Come on, man. Cut it out.
You try to distract me, man. I'm not gonna let you. I'm not gonna let you. All right.
Don't let him derail you. Go ahead, host.
Exactly.
They hate the truth. I don't know why
you know what? We're gonna come back. We may need to do a Olympic recap show so we can talk about this.
So we can count the medals. You can count the medals. If you want to play that game,
exactly.
You can count the medals, baby. You want to do that? You want to do that? Don't get cute, right? Don't get cute. All right, calm down. Calm down.
Oh, but listen, today we got a show where we'll be talking about a serious topic, and that is mental health. You know, lately in the news, I'm sure if you guys have been paying attention to sports, especially if you're a sports fan, you heard about young lady Naomi Osaka, tennis star, who took some time away from major tennis events so that she could take care of her mental health. And we all saw, for those of you who watched the Olympics, Simone Biles, the GOAT, the greatest Olympic gymnast that has ever walked God's green earth.
Say that. The GOAT.
The real GOAT. The real GOAT.
Just hands down.
Don't even debate. Don't debate.
There's no debate.
Don't debate it.
She's got moves named after her. So let's just talk about that. All right. She's the GOAT. All right. There's nothing to talk about. However, there was a time during this Olympics when she talked about her mental health being compromised because of the complexity of her routines, right? And in addition to that, the pressure that she felt to perform. And so she made a decision that was hard for her because she knew how important it was to represent for her team, the team that she was with, as well as for her family and ultimately for her country. But she made the decision to step away, not completely, because she did come back and compete, but she did step away from her most popular routines that she would do and win gold. She stepped away, citing that her mental health was important.
Yeah.
Now, as Black men, I do want to talk about more specifics since we're three Black men, doing the Be Honest podcast. And so I want to kind of shift it. For those of you, both of you guys follow basketball. And a while back, you guys know that DeMar DeRozan talked about how he had to get serious about his mental health because he felt himself slipping away mentally, not being present, not only for his team, but for his family and ultimately for himself. So he had to get serious, get a therapist, even beyond the therapist that the NBA provides. He had to get a personal therapist in order to make sure his mental health was a priority. And so I just want to, we're going to go round robin. I'll start with D on this one first. And I really want you guys to kind of share your personal experience. I'm going to start with D because D, both you and Mike, both of you guys are pastors, right? So you guys are not only in charge of your immediate family, shepherding your immediate family, but you also have a flock. And both you guys have two churches, so you have two flocks that you are entrusted with. And now I want you guys to kind of talk about your mental health, just your general overview of mental health, and then kind of talk about how it plays into your vocation. So I'm going to start with you, D. Talk about mental health overall, and then how it plays into your vocation.
Mental health is that sleeping dragon that item that people just keep stuffing onto the carpet, and they've been doing this for decades, but now this thing is just exposing. People are getting stumbling over this carpet. Matter of fact, people going head first, and especially in the church realm, and we are guilty of that. I'm saying we ministers, leaders of the church, administrators, teachers, whoever is running some kind of church person or talking, we've been guilty of that. And why I say that? Because we like to spiritualize things. Those of you in the Be Honest world, you understand what we mean by that. We spiritualize. We just pray over it. Oh, the Lord is able. He's able. He's going to get you through. Just get over it. Get over it.
Mm-hmm.
As a person who has suffered through depression, chronic depression for years, it ain't a get over thing.
Wow.
It ain't a get over thing. And I'll share more about that in a moment. But to answer your question specifically, there are people in our congregation, church is the only institution, unlike any other institution, religious organizations, churches, mosques, stuff like that. The synagogues are the only institution where you don't fill out an application, you don't try to get a profile review. Well, what can you contribute and so forth? So it's basically broken souls for whatever reason, realizing at this certain point in their age, whether they're old or young, saying, you know what, I need a savior. I'm empty. And notice what I said, broken soul. Right? Well, let's just be honest. Most people go to church are people who recognize their brokenness. Not saying they're broken souls out there. We all broken, but a lot of them recognize their brokenness and like, yo, man, you know, I need a savior. But here now, a lot of us like to bury it in the Bible. A lot of us like to bury it in the songs. We like to bury it, you know, being sermonized. And then what happened is now you have these people with you, and then why they respond in a certain way, why they don't get along, why is not common sense things to you. And so I've realized, man, that this mental health thing, especially in the Black communities, but specifically religious communities, it's a shh. Whereas white communities are like, yo, my family, we need to take care of this situation here. Yeah. You know, our communities is like, yeah, we all have one in our family, and we all know that crazy person. We like to use those terms. No offense to anybody, you know, but we just keep it as it's like a badge of honor to have one crazy member in our family. And excuse me for using the word crazy, but I'm just telling you the truth. Ain't that right, Mike?
Yeah. Man, good points, Denry, man, and thanks for being so vulnerable right out
Absolutely.
the gate. But this is to be honest, man.
Yeah.
So
Thanks
I'm
for
sure
being
we all are
honest.
gonna share our heart on the matter. I in general, what we're seeing with
By the way, that beautiful noise you hear in the background is our main man Mike, you know, with his newborn son, the new king, the new prince.
He's refusing to behave.
Yeah, so don't excuse that beautiful noise you hear in the background. That's the new king.
I thought nobody could. Be quiet, Malcolm. Wait, 8 weeks. How's he going to be quiet?
No, it ain't happening.
So I really appreciate the awareness of mental health. Just even because conversations like this with 3 Black men talking about mental health awareness, probably 5 years ago, you never would have heard it. There would be no platforms where people were doing it. So just this great awakening that people are now realizing, hey, a lot of us have been suffering in silence. That's a lot. That's a term typically used as it relates to mental health. There's a lot of people are suffering in silence. And so what we're seeing now is people saying, wait a minute, like Denry said, I'm actually depressed. Or like for me, one of my struggles was I have anger issues and was in therapy for anger management. And I'll talk about that too. But everybody's recognized, hey, I've been sexually abused. I've been physically abused, and it's done something to me. It is mentally played a role in how I operate within society. And so it's important just to even talk about it, to be open and vulnerable about what you're experiencing. That's the real key to mental health, is just being aware of who you are. Now, as it relates to my vocation as a pastor, same thing. It's no different. Even more, and it's more, a lot of it is to what Denry said, because traditionally, as he talked about, church would say, hey, you just pray over it. That's just a demon fighting you. And so you'd stop there and say, well, if you just pray enough, well, yeah, but if you were sick, you could pray, but you could also go to the doctor and ask God to lead you to the right position. So it's the same thing with mental health, where I think leaders such as us, pastors in this generation, we're saying, no, wait a minute. Yes, we can process it we can talk spiritually about these principalities and powers and evil forces in dark places, but we can also give you some practical tools that God has given us wisdom to see. God never has asked us to be mindless robots. God actually wants us to think. Only thing, what God's main purpose of when you accept, for us, we're Christians. So when you accept Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior, it doesn't mean now your mind disappears. It's actually that you think even deeper. Now you have a deeper appreciation for what it means to think and go in depth, in particular introspection, which is what is required when you are going to deal with your mental health. You have to be able to look yourself in the mirror, and God wants us to do that. And so part of what I try to do, and by God's grace, I try to do as a leader, as a pastor, is let my members know that I support you spiritually, and I also support you in your mental health as well, giving you practical tools in which to spiritually deal with things, but as well as go beyond that. So that's just a little bit of it. Just to break.
Let's jump in real quick, like you're saying. Like let's common sense. Let's talk common sense for a second. Mike, if I was your member at your church and we playing basketball and I, ruptured my Achilles or whatever, I broke my leg, you put the juice on me and I tore my ankle or whatever, right? You're not gonna say, hey, let's just come together and pray and you go about your business, right?
Oh, right.
Yeah, you and I play ball together. I play ball. Mike is pretty nice. He's pretty nice. Yeah. The Knicks is not going to pick him up anytime soon, but he's pretty nice. You know what I'm saying? And so if you broke my ankles,
I'm a pastor, sir. My hoop dreams are over. I'm a pastor.
You broke my ankles, right? For real. And I'm like, yo, this dude sprained my ankles. Even if it's just a sprain, I'm not going. Y'all not going to just come and pray and say, all right, man, boom. No. So imagine if my leg was broken, like I was walking, a car hits me, broken leg. You're not gonna say, "Hey, we're just gonna pray. We're gonna pray for him right now, and that's it." No, you're gonna pray while somebody does what? Call 911.
That's right.
So when it comes to the physical, we do both. We call upon God, but let's be honest, we also call 911. We go to doctors, whatever. You know what I'm saying? So why is it when it comes to the mental? We're like, nah, let's just pray over it. That's the demons just telling you negativity, which there is some truth to that. However, the same way if you had a physical injury, you go get a professional help. We're telling you right off the bat before we even get into the discussion, if you got a mental feel like something is not going right here, and that's okay to say I'm not okay. It's okay. I had to come to that grips like, yo, D, you're on top of the world. You think as a pastor, blah, blah, blah. But there are some things going on here that you, God, and your therapist need to work on. Notice what I did there. Me and God and my therapist need to work on.
That's right. Absolutely, man. And I could not agree more. I couldn't agree more. Those are both some very salient points that you guys have made, and wow, powerful points. So I want to move in this direction. Okay. And Mike, you started mentioning it, but I want to sit here a little bit longer. Let's talk about how sometimes when you say mental health, people will interpret that as only mental illness and not understand that trauma. And Mike, you mentioned that trauma through whether it's sexual abuse, verbal abuse, physical abuse, that trauma can injure something in your mind or even go to the place of breaking something in your mind. To where if it's not addressed, what's going to happen? That cycle will continue. Whatever kind of abuse you experienced will traumatize you. Your mental will be thrown off. Your mental health will not be good. And as a result of that, oftentimes you become that thing you despised or that thing that injured you, right? You become that. That is why it's even, you guys gave the example of Denver, you gave the example of a broken leg, right? A broken arm or something like that. But we have to understand the mind transcends even that, because when we talk about a broken leg, we're talking about flesh and bone, right?
Yeah.
But the mind is so complex in how it deals. You talk about how when you experience things, it creates pathways in your brain, right?
Yes.
And we'll later on, we're going to continue this conversation. We'll probably bring on a psychologist.
Yeah, we got to bring in
that way we can get a deeper understanding of how these pathways are formed and how in order to heal, you have to do the work to form new pathways, right? It's something similar to habits. They say, if you create a bad habit, right, it's going to take X amount of time for you to create a new good habit, right? To replace that one, depending on the habit, 30, 60, 90, 120, sometimes 365 days before you start to create a better habit. However, I wanted to talk about this. How can we change, or what can we do? Having a conversation is great, but I think it's very important. I want to throw it to you guys to talk about, but how can we talk about, and I feel like we're doing it now, but maybe you guys can give us some insight. How can we talk about when we say mental health, make sure we understand and we're very clear that we're not just talking about mental illness, because mental illness is a part of that. Some people are born with a chemical imbalance, right?
Yeah.
Or some people are born with certain mental illnesses where a part of their brain may not develop fully, right?
Yeah.
Or certain things forebrain could be smaller. We hear about all of these different mental illnesses, right? However, someone could be born reasonably mentally healthy and experience trauma, and then that trauma could cause a mental health crisis. So I started with Denry last time. Mike, I want to start with you since you already kind of talked about it. Talk a little bit about that distinction and how can we be clear and make sure, because sometimes what we don't want people is to tune out and think that we're talking about just mental illness, right?
Sure.
And not understand that we're also talking about mental trauma.
Yeah, man, it's a great distinction. And it thanks for even just doing that, Arnell, and presenting it that way, because there is, like, you think mental health and you automatically think like a sociopath or something of that when someone has a serious mental illness. When you talk about mental health, a lot of times another term people talk about is mental injury or mental wellness. But these are all terms to point to your social experiences, in addition to your genetics, play a part in the person you are. Yes. As you go throughout life, and there are different circumstances that happen in your life that trigger certain chemical responses and reactions behaviorally. So when we talk about mental health, we're specifically, I think a lot of times what people are talking about, and you mentioned DeMar DeRozan, he talked about a lot of what his upbringing was like. He mentioned growing up in Compton. What's that like of the trauma of that? I often talk about what it means to be a black male in America, particularly ADOS, an American descendant of slavery, knowing that you're in, because unlike other countries or other quote unquote black people that experience the diaspora, what's unique about the ADOS community is you're still in the country that you built with, and the oppressor is the dominant group. Not to say that every white person is the oppressor, but it's the fact that at the time when slavery was happening, you have white and black people, and the white people were the dominant group, and they were the oppressive group. But there's still a majority in this country, though they're not all oppressive. So you have to deal with that trauma. What does it mean to be the group that has built the most in this country, have the least? What does it mean to have these ghettos that we live in that were designed by? So you're dealing with that trauma, and what I think it was James Baldwin talked about, to be black and to be somewhat conscious is to be angry all the time. So what does that mean to be angry all the time? So when we talk about, when you mention that and we talk about mental health, we're not just talking about mental illness. We're talking about the circumstances and situations that have happened in your life that have a negative effect on you and effect on your mind. And what affects your mind will affect your behavior.
Yeah, absolutely.
And because we are not, and let's put that disclaimer out there, we are not specialists or expert in the mental health field. We are speaking from our research, from people we interact, and from talking to those professionals. So once again, put it out there. If you feel like you're experiencing it yourself, mental health or mental illness, please seek a proper counselor, professional. Even Solomon talks about this, to seek a counselor, getting advice. There ain't nothing wrong with it. Getting someone who's an expert in this field, and they will even explain to you whether this is a mental health issue or mental illness. You know what I'm saying? Let me just bring the perspective as a Jamaican. In Jamaica, you say black community is a taboo. In the West Indies, bro, you better not tell nobody that you're gonna go see a therapist. You better not tell nobody you're gonna go see a psychologist or quote unquote shrink or whatever. No disrespect. You know what I'm saying? Because they would see you as
respectfully.
What? They'll start the names. Cool. You know what I'm saying? Well, you're mad boy, want to. Something wrong with you. I know there's something wrong with you. Long time in a rasta. You know what I'm saying? They will say that to you. And so you're like, I want people to know that I got mental health issues.
Yeah.
I don't want people to know that I got these. I just can't function normally. Because Jamaica is, as you've seen in the Olympics, especially specifically, we are a driven, performance-based group of people.
Yes.
And so, like Mike was saying with ADOS, you guys, African Americans who are here through slavery, you know what I'm saying? You going through that channel, all that. When we were told now, coming to this country now, hey, you come into a land of opportunity. Don't go there wasting no time. So we already come with this mindset like, yo, I got to come here and be perfect. I got to come here and drop, just do the best. I got to come here. I can't just come here and just be. I got to come here and do. So now West Indians, we come in here, and a lot of immigrants too, but I can only speak for West Indians. We come to this country. If you and I in school, think about it, going through high school, when I was going, if you just chilling or relax, you don't have something to do. You can't, what video game? What do you talking about? You gonna play video game? No, go read your books. So that pressure, because our family is like, yo, we came from nothing. You're not gonna come to this country and say and not take opportunity, take advantage of this opportunity. You're not gonna go and climb this ladder. Climb the beanstalk and not take these golden goose eggs. Don't let these eggs waste. And so that's pressure.
Yeah.
So here I am, a young black man, and all these other Jamaicans and West Indians, Trinidad, coming to this country, and some of us jump to it, but the pressure is already behind you. That hey, you have to be perfect or you have to perform great. Go through school, and so I've heard these things like Caucasian people, white people, or people who just have money like that. You after high school, you take a gap here. So high schoolers or graduates are like, yo, I'm gonna take a gap here. Yeah. Even my kids, my spoiled behind rotten kids, that I know, are telling me, Dad, we're gonna take a gap here. Now, if I told my mom that, my dad, my stepdad, that, my grandparents that, what would gap what? I'll put a gap on your backside. That's what I'll do. You know what I'm saying? And so that pressure to perform. And so one of the things I've learned with just my reading and talking to my therapist, pressure, stress, and the desire the drive to try to be perfect and not miss the mark causes depression. And so you feeling that you need to be perfect, you need to always execute. So you struggling in school, like, man, I've been studying this book. Shout out, by the way, want to give this go to
yeah.
I got it.
Shout out FDB.
Shout out to our guys.
Yes, sir. Fred, I got the book.
Shout out Breaking Orbit,
baby.
Y'all go pick that
get
up.
Yourself a copy. My friend Douglas Boise. So Bussy, my bad. Still get the book. Still get the book. Okay, don't worry about the book.
Still get the book.
So that pressure for excellent performance, and even in a religious circle, Mike, I found out that West Indians do church different than African Americans. I'm just West Indians performance based. Pastor, when are we gonna have evangelism? Pastor, when we need to get these souls? Pastor, we need to do this. We're wasting time. Jesus is coming today. Like he came last night and we missed the boat.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Where African Americans is like community. Hey, how are we gonna empower this community?
Yeah,
how are we gonna do this? How this people struggling? West Indians like, no, hey, they'll get it when they get to heaven. They'll get, you know what I'm saying?
Wow.
I'm generally speaking. So think about that pressure now, and you don't meet that mark. Then all of a sudden, your cousin, your brother over here, he's a doctor. What you doing? What are you doing with yourself? What's your cousin over here doing? Or the next door neighbor's son, he's over here an attorney. What are you doing with yourself? So now you got a lot of us, first generation, West Indians came to this country, whatever, like, yo, shoot, Bruce, that's stress. And that stress, you're not meeting that mark, leads to depression. You know what I'm saying? I'm just sharing from my personal. Next person, you have your own story. And so when you feel like you missing the mark all the time, that you don't measure up, you know what I'm saying? And some people take the opportunity and go all the way, but not everybody could do that. And don't think for 1 second, even the person might be out. Okay. You guys talked about the Olympiads, right? We had Elaine, real quick. She's the fastest woman now in the world, right? She shared when after she won the 400, the 100, she said, people call me crazy. I don't if y'all go back and listen to the interview, she said they said I couldn't do it. Some people even call me crazy. You see what I'm saying? Why would she share that? Because she has been affected from a child. If you listen to some of her story, she has been affected. People have been telling her from she was young, oh, you stupid, you crazy, whatever, you don't match up and all that. And so she felt like I had to prove them wrong. But does that heal her mental issues? Does that? No, that don't solve the problem. Yes, she got that victory, but she still has to deal with that.
Still have to process it.
Exactly.
Absolutely. Wow. Powerful, man.
Sorry, I took so long on that. My bad.
No, it's all good. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah,
man.
sorry, you did that on purpose. Stop it.
Listen,
you did it on purpose. Don't try to apologize for it.
Then when you have people like Mike as your friends, you know what I'm saying? You know, they put that pressure on you. You know.
Listen,
we talked about New York pressure. We didn't even talk about that.
Oh, that's the truth.
Yo, don't get into this, man. I'm already triggered from the verses. Leave me alone. Leave me alone.
That's a whole nother level. That's like I said, I believe that this is going to be a continuing topic that we'll revisit from time to time, because there's no way we can pack it all into one episode. But I feel like we're laying some good groundwork here. Yeah. So thank you, Denry. Thank you for sharing that, man, because I believe you actually put some feet to, as they say, some of the things that people are feeling, you know, and now they can see it walking out, and now they can understand a little bit better, because you're speaking from your personal experience. And believe it or not, you know, the things that, like you said, the things that the people in the Caribbean community face and the people in the African American community face, we have a lot of similarities, but the people in Caribbean community, for some reason, there are some things they're just OD on. Like you say, when they come here, they don't play around. Because they feel, because like you said, it's drilled in your head. Yeah. You don't have time to waste. You got to get that degree. You got to get whatever field you in, you got to get to the top of that field as fast as you can, or you're not nothing, right? Yeah. And the mental stress that can put on people. Now, here's the thing. Yeah. What's happening is, and what I'm seeing is that there is, as we all know, there's a fine line between motivation and negative pressure. Yeah. There's a fine line between the two.
Very thin.
If you are not, and see, here's the thing, fellas. Here's the thing. If your mental is not healthy,
exactly,
you won't know where that line is.
Bro, go through the list. Whitney Houston, Martin Lawrence. Remember when Martin crunked out?
Broke, yep.
Bobby Brown. The list goes on and on. They may have been great in performance. Michael Jackson.
Yep.
Prince, come on, baby. Yeah. The list goes. DMX. We just
Dave Chappelle.
DMX.
Dave Chappelle.
Come on, baby.
Yeah, and so there's a line. And so what happens is, having and understanding your mental health, right? Your mental health. And that's going to kind of lead me to the next topic, right? But we're going to take a break first. I'm going to finish this point. We're going to take a break and come back. All right. So listen, it's important, though. It's important that we understand that there is a line. Yeah. Listen, pressure, right, can motivate people to excellence, right? It can motivate you to excellence. However, if you're not understanding your child, your brother, your sister, if you're not understanding where they are mentally, right? If you don't understand their mental condition, a certain type of pressure, like you could have two kids. You guys have multiple children. I only have one. So you guys have multiple children. You could take two of your children. I'll just take Mike. You have two boys. D, you got two boys. D, your boys are closer in age, so I'm just going to use you as an example, right? You could use something that would motivate Nate to just hit the stratosphere, right?
Yeah.
But your other son, it could cause him to mentally break. You see what I'm saying? This is why it's important to ask the Lord for discernment.
That's right.
And understanding how to motivate your children. First and foremost, you do it with love, right? You do it with love, and you can push them. Pushing them is good, but you have to understand them, because that same pressure that you put on them, as we see, can cause the ladies in Jamaica who excelled in the Olympics, right? Can cause them to excel, and people are celebrating them. But how many did not make it to that level?
Exactly.
And how many are mentally damaged? And because you understand their self-worth is tied up in this.
That's right.
They feel like they have no self-worth. We don't see that side. See what I mean? We celebrate the ones who excel, right? But the ones who crumble under that pressure, now more than ever, because we're having these conversations, it's starting to come out. Thank God for the athletes, as we mentioned earlier, who are stepping forward and saying, hey, this is what I'm experiencing. So I don't want to sacrifice breaking something in here for the sake of entertainment or to please someone. You know what I mean? And so that's kind of the point I'm making. But listen, this is a wonderful conversation, and we're going to continue it right after this. We're going to take a brief break. This is the Be Honest podcast. Y'all make sure y'all stay tuned. Share it with a friend. We'll be right back.
Yeah. Man, it's heavy.
Kids had come up with the virus, had tested positive for the virus. And, because there is so much uncertainty and so many things to be unsure about, I can definitely see why my mom is just like, I'd rather be safe than sorry.
There are people now that just don't feel safe. You already have people who have paranoia already, and then social paranoias and so forth. And there's people that don't like to be around people. There's germophobic people. So now this is just 10,000 times enhanced that.
Our attention, everything with the LGBT community and the binary gender neutral pronouns that's coming about. One artist that I'm pretty fond of, Demi Lovato, she was talking about that as well. Now she is non-binary, so she refers to herself as them and they. And I know that can be a little bit confusing, but at the end of the day,
you might want to go talk to your family members. You could talk to them about some things, but remember, they're going through the same pain you're going through, and they're not experts at counseling. So I just advise you to go seek counseling. I seek counsel myself. Yeah, treat people the way you want to be treated. You know what I'm saying?
Everything like racism, discrimination in the workplace, like
mental health.
Just make that put that in the Constitution, okay? Somebody.
Matter of fact, that should be the only thing in the Constitution,
right? Literally, because what else are you talking about in here? Like what?
Yeah, if you listen, if that's all what the Constitution was about, trust me.
I'm gonna call Biden and I'm gonna let him know.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back. This is the Be Honest podcast, and we've been having a conversation around mental health. Man, wow, been having some great insight from the fellas. They definitely have been honest about where they're at. So we're going to kick it into the next question, man. And this question specifically is about therapy. Now, we don't have to talk specifics about, what you guys, if you have been to therapy, what you're in therapy for. Denry did kind of mention a little bit earlier that he has a therapist, but I have a very specific question. And so I'll kick it to you guys, and then I'll answer for myself last. So the question is this: would you recommend therapy, and has it been beneficial in your life? So since you mentioned that you had a therapist, I don't want to put Mike on the spot, but I'm going to go to D first. So would you recommend therapy, and has it been beneficial for you?
The answer is 1,000% yes. I definitely would recommend therapy. Just like I said before, and I'm not shy to say it, I'm not ashamed to say it. I personally, myself, with my struggles, I seek therapy. I seek for my marriage. I seek for my personal self. There's some other things that I was struggling with before, and I went for therapy for that. So yes. Like I said, if you broke your leg, you wouldn't want me as a pastor, a rabbi, imam, whatever, to pray over you and say, all right, good luck. You'd want me to pray over you while you go see your doctor, right?
Right.
So the same way, if it's physical, go ahead, get help. So the same way, if it's emotional and it's mental, yes, I definitely, come on, of course.
Got it. Okay, Mike.
Yes, and yes. Like, yes, I not only would I have already recommended some of my members at times when they're going through things that I understand is above my pay grade.
Right.
So one of my professors in the seminary would always say, Dr. Beverly, it's a line check. She would always tell us, hey, 2 or more issues, it's above your pay grade.
Yeah.
So what that means is that, like Denry said, but even more so when it comes to mental health issues, there are things that your pastor is just not equipped to deal with. And you can sit there and let him talk to you for hours and hours and hours, and most likely he will. The worst case scenario is that he'll make it worse. Like he or she, I should say, will make it worse. So I always advocate for people when I know that it's there, that you may need to talk to someone else. And I'm still there. I'm not saying I'm abandoning you as your pastor. I'll still support you, but there's always someone else you can talk to. And personally, it's been, when I was going to therapy, I had so much fun. Like, I know people don't normally hear that about
That's
therapy.
true.
It was amazing.
I've never heard that. I
had so much fun, man.
Yeah.
It was amazing. It was one of those revealing things. I shared with you guys the sermon that I preached about physical abuse and child abuse, and particularly spankings. And I shared in the sermon, it was through therapy that I had actually realized, because I was in therapy for anger management issues. For anger issues. I don't have no problem sharing that. I've shared that before. I shared it on my pulpit. So, and it was great. The things that were revealed that I began to notice and process, even dealing with my wife and my children, just how anger manifests itself in so many different areas and aspects. Oh, it's phenomenal. I can't wait to do therapy here. With Newly in San Antonio. But the reason why I sound so excited is because it's like Denry's example. If my leg breaks, I can't wait to go to the right doctor that sets my leg correctly so that I can run and jump and do all the things I used to do. So it's the same thing with mental health, man. Especially if you get a good therapist, one that you can connect with, vibe on a good level, and they're really knowledgeable of their area of expertise. Man, it does a world for you. So absolutely.
Absolutely. Just real quick. Even doctors refer you.
Facts.
I'm seeing my doctor for
that's a fact.
My primary care doctor. He doesn't do everything. He actually says, okay, you need to go see a cardiologist. I'm referring you to this. I'm referring to this. Go take this test. You see what I'm saying? So the thing with us pastors and some ministers or whatever, we're just so prideful. We arrogant. We think we can resolve. We're the answer to the world's problem. Jesus himself was like, yo, told the dude, okay, you got I heal you. Now go see the priest.
Yep.
Yeah.
He's saying referral. I got to step away real quick. Continue the broadcast. I'll be right back.
So here's the thing. I agree 1,000%. And Mike, I'm not gonna lie, my experience with a therapist was very different. It was painful for me. It was painful. It was hurtful. However, I would recommend it because it was so beneficial. So beneficial. And because for me, the painful part was the self-examination.
Yeah.
That's what it was, right?
That's it.
And so having to examine yourself and take an honest look at yourself, because you have Beverly, man, and I actually did counseling with her husband, David, settling checks. So you know how he is. Very gentle, very kind, but he gonna tell you like it is. I mean, his wife, she the same way. She gonna tell you like it is.
That's right.
That's the thing I appreciate, and that's what you want. You want a good therapist that's not just gonna sit there and milk you for those billable hours. You want somebody that's gonna tell you the truth.
That's right.
You know what I mean? You want somebody that's gonna tell you the truth, man. And so 1,000 times, yes, man, I would recommend it because it helped me understand more about myself. Because the truth is, if we don't self-examine, right? If we don't self-examine, every situation, we could go from situation to situation, relationship to relationship, job to job, state to state, city to city, country to country. But guess what? You bring you with it. You bring you everywhere you go. So if you're unwilling to do self-examination, if you're unwilling to say, okay, what role do I play in this?
That's right.
Or what role am I contributing to this, right? If you're unwilling to do that, then, you're going to find yourself in these situations over and over and over, right? And so I definitely would recommend therapy, man. And so while we wait for Denry to overcome whatever it is.
You got to overcome.
While we wait for him to overcome that situation, man. So here's another question, Mike. So here's another question. Now, you've recently been in the ministry. Now, your journey was different than some other pastors, right? Especially in our denomination, your journey was a little different, right? So what would you recommend to that young seminary student, right? Who is just passionate, can't wait to get to their first district, can't wait to just share with the people all the things they learn in seminary, all the exegetical skills they have, got during this time. They can't wait to share all of this stuff with their new members. They can't wait to go out and just be that servant of the Lord or whatever it is. And I guess this can apply to all fields. You may
I was gonna say everybody.
That young social worker or that young nurse or that resident doctor. They can't wait to go. They're so passionate. They cannot wait to conquer the world. What would you recommend to them as it relates to understanding that, yes, it's good to have that burning passion and that desire. However, it's important for you to make sure that you're taking time to do self-care and take care of your mental health. Like, how would you advise them, just from your experience, how would you advise that they approach their profession or whatever their calling is?
Man, great question, brother. First things first, you're dealing with something. I would just let you know, whoever that is that I'm talking to, there's something you're dealing with. And so because you're dealing with it, meaning in the sense of you've had some level of experience with, there's really no one walking the earth that has that can say they've never experienced trauma in their lives.
Right.
Maybe a 1-year-old, but even a one, maybe. But so the main thing is, and you touched on it, is be comfortable with you intimately now, not in a sexual way, but intimately know start to get to know who you are. That's part of what therapy helps you to do. It's really the person who the therapist that's with you is allowing you to flesh out a lot of your ideas, a lot of things you went through in the past that you suppressed, meaning you don't think about them that much. They don't register in your mind immediately, but you can see the ramifications of those experiences in your day-to-day lives. But all of this introspection will prepare you for whatever vocation you're in, because it helps to get you to be your best you. And of course, I'm going to tell you, if you don't believe in God, you should. If you don't believe in Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior, you should, because there is a level, and when we think about the mentality in your mind, and there really is a very spiritual component that plays into your mindset. And if you are in this type of tug of war spiritually with the things that are operating in your mind, then you need the strongest spiritual power. That would be God. So I would definitely encourage people, to get to know Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior. There's more to it than that. But these are these early things that you can walk through. And if you are a believer in Christ and believe in God, then dive deeper into God's word, learn more about who God is, because really what the Bible allows us to do is give us, I would say, the full depth of the human experience that you can draw from, and particularly how God deals with the ebbs and flows of the human experience. And then through all of that experience, God is revealed. And what does God revealing himself mean to you as a person he's created? So it's those two things: being aware of who you are, starting to be okay and comfortable with your own proclivities, the differences, the nuances that you have. In addition to that, getting a spiritual connection with God, Jesus Christ. I think those are the two things you could do before you jump into any vocation, as you're preparing to jump in, just to get that mind right, and especially for ministers.
Absolutely, man. I could not agree more. And I'll just speak from my personal experience. Having a relationship with the Lord helps me understand that I don't have to carry whatever burdens and whatever weight that's on my shoulder as a black man, right? With a family, just in the United States, all of the things that come with that, right?
That's right.
I don't have to carry these burdens alone, right?
That's right.
I don't. Because think about it. My daughter, she looks to me. My wife, she looks to me.
That's right.
Who am I supposed to look to?
That's right.
So
that's
I'm thankful, of course, that I have you guys. I have my brothers. But also, listen, I'm being real. I love you guys, and I respect that you guys have family. I can't call y'all at 2:00 in the morning. I mean, if I do, I'm sure y'all would know it's pretty serious. I'm calling for a serious reason, right? And y'all probably would pick up, right?
Yeah.
But I can't make that into a habit, because that's going to be an issue. But I can call on the Lord every day, morning, noon, or night, at any time that I'm feeling mentally overwhelmed.
Yeah.
There is a place I can go.
That's right.
And I think that is so important, because sometimes people feel like there is nowhere for me to go with this.
That's right. That's right.
And living under that constantly can literally break you down mentally.
That's right.
You see what I'm saying? And knowing that you have somewhere to go, someone to talk to, that's another reason why, even if you're agnostic, even if you are, atheist, and you don't believe in God, that's why we still recommend you getting a therapist. You see what I'm saying? you need somewhere to go with your issues
That's
and
right.
your problems. It's healthy for you. We were created, whether you believe in God or not. The truth is, you can see examples all throughout our world. We're better when we exist in community.
That's right.
We are better when we exist in community. You need someone you can go to. Someone, it is good that someone is bound by law to keep what you share with them confidential.
Confidential. That's right. That's right. They're not gonna put your business in the street. So hear what Arnell is saying. He means that certain things you can't go to auntie and them. You can't go to grandma and them. They're gonna tell everybody at the barbecue. You can't go to them.
Can't do it. And here's the other thing, Mike. Right? Sometimes what has caused the injury is gossip.
That's right. That's right. That's powerful. That's right.
You see what I'm saying? Sometimes that's what has caused the injury, right?
Yep.
And so now you feel like I have to keep all of this in, right?
Yeah.
But you need to have someone where you can go to, someone who will process it with you. See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You need that outlet. It's so good for your mental clarity, stability, all of these things.
Especially when we talk about vocations, and that's why I love how you said it's not just resigned to pastoral ministry. Every vocation, and the reason why you said that is because every vocation, as soon as you go into it, there are what? Expectations.
Absolutely.
Expectations come with pressure. There's no job that you are going to get where your boss, or even if you're an entrepreneur, there is expectations that you set for yourself. You know this as an entrepreneur.
Absolutely.
There are expectations that you set. And when you set those expectations, we use that key word, starts with a P, pressure.
Pressure.
There's pressure that's assigned to that. And if you just hold all of the pressure in, you are going to explode.
Absolutely.
So, I agree with you, brother. You got to be able to get that out.
You got to be able to get that out. And listen, I love my wife, right? And one of the things I value about our relationship is, our ability to communicate verbally. We talk, and we're learning how to do that verbal communication and talk and share with one another and process things with one another. You see what I'm saying? And it's very it works. It helps me out because I'm an internal processor, meaning I will hold everything in, right? However, she is an external processor. When things happen, she wants to talk about it. Talk. And it's hard for me. It's hard for me because I'm wired to process in my mind. But she's helping me understand the benefits of processing externally.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So it's not like she just, verbal vomit, just blah, 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 and then she good. No, she asked me, what do you think about this? What do you think about it? So it helps me process externally. And now I'm starting to see the benefits of that. You know what I mean? Of processing, because my natural response is to just go internal. You see what I'm saying? I just keep it inside, right? And that is not always healthy.
Well, I don't know if you want to let the people know what your wife does, but I think there's clear reasons why she's like that. There's a reason why she's like that.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, but she works as a mental health therapist, and so there you go. She has the background. That's her role. That's her work. That's her role. And she of course, now she works as a director for community stability. So now she has taken on a larger role and where she is helping to counsel and put other therapists and coaches in positions and helping them learn how to deal with their people. So, but it helps, having that person that you can process things with, it's so important. So important. So
outside of marrying a mental health therapist,
there you go.
What he's saying is go get a therapist.
Go get a therapist. I'm blessed to be married to one.
That's right.
However, I understand that even with her, I wouldn't want to put all of my things on
That's
her.
right. That's
See
right.
what I'm saying? That's unfair to
Yeah.
her. So
That's right.
I realize, the importance of having a therapist and going to a therapist that,
Yeah.
I can really just, get things out, process with, and everything. Not saying there's things I can't talk to my wife about. I believe I can share everything with my wife. But still, I believe that there are some times, right? Because even in the context of a marriage, man, you love your husband, you love your wife, you don't want to say or do anything to injure them. And you can still be in a position where you're working on that communication. You see what I'm saying? The communication's not all the way there.
Right.
So it's good to have a therapist. It's good to have someone who you can
that
check in
neutral
with.
party.
Yeah.
That neutral party, because your spouse, your family members, they're emotionally bound to you.
Yes.
So that automatically comes with a bias.
Yes.
So your therapist doesn't know you, so they don't have a bias. They can just take your issues and help you process your issues, versus your spouse and your family members. Your issues are their issues.
Yep.
And so it's not just me processing with you; it's us processing with each other, which is fine. But there are some times where, nah, baby, this is the thing I got to deal with me. You can't help me with this part.
No,
I got to go to somebody else with this part.
Yes, and I think a part of that is being healthy and whole mentally, because it's unfair for me to put the expectation on my wife.
That's right.
To handle all of that. You see what I'm saying? That's an unfair expectation of her. You see what I'm saying? For her to be the sole provider for my mental health and her own mental health. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
and the mental health of all of
Jesus.
the clients that she has.
Right. Right.
That's not realistic. That wouldn't be right. So it's good, like you said, to have that neutral party, because sometimes they can see things. And that was what was one of the painful things, but beneficial things for me when I was in therapy, was my therapist was able to see things that I could not see and bring them to my attention.
That's
you know what I mean? And since like you said, they don't have a bias, they were willing to just speak the truth. They could speak the truth, and we could benefit from it. But like I said, this is going to be a continuing conversation that we're going to continue to have. Denry is still overcoming whatever he's got to overcome, man. But our time has expired.
It's overcoming him.
It's overcoming. He might be kidding. So let's make sure we put one in the air for Denry, because it might be overcoming him.
That's right.
Oh man, but we appreciate you guys rocking with the Be Honest podcast. We appreciate you guys taking time to listen to this episode. Share it with a friend who you feel like it could be beneficial in their life. And like I said, this is going to be a continuing conversation. We're going to revisit this topic ever so often, because we want to keep this conversation going. We don't want to let this conversation die. Listen, for our benefit and for the next generation. We don't want our children to grow up under a stigma of thinking that seeking mental, emotional, even spiritual counseling somehow makes you inferior. We don't want them growing up with that, right? We don't want them growing up with that. We want them to know that is making sure, the same way you have those 6 month visits to your doctor to check on your physical health, right? So that you can get ahead. If anything's coming up, you can get ahead of it, tackle it right away to make sure that you stay in, as far as possible, premium physical health. Same thing for your mental, emotional, and spiritual health. Same thing. Same thing. We want to do the same thing. And go do those check-ins. Make sure you're good. All right, y'all. But on behalf of Denry the Overcomer, my name is Patience. And we got Mike here. Listen, y'all. We love y'all. We want to remind y'all, be honest with yourself. Be honest with your family. Most of all, be honest with God. Did I miss one, Mike? I feel like I missed one.
That was it.
All right, I got it.
That was it.
That's what's up, y'all. So till the next time, peace and love.
Peace. That was dope.
What's up, y'all? This is Denry the Overcomer from the B.Honest Podcast. Thank you for rocking with us. Hope you enjoyed our broadcast. Stay tuned. We got more coming. More conversations.
I'm winning. Can't tell me I'm not. Ain't nobody gon' tell me I'm not. I'm winning. Can't tell me I'm not. Ain't nobody gon' tell me I'm not. I'm winning. Can't tell me I'm not. Ain't nobody gon' tell me I'm not. I'm winning.
Let's go.
Nobody gon' tell me I'm not.
Both fists raised, we praise God for victory. The enemy can celebrate in the face of my enemy. The energy I used to hate no longer part of me. So pardon me for trusting the vengeance to the one who parts the sea. He paid the fee so I can go free. I call that bail money. Chasing back so you can be rich. I call that fail money. Sowing out so you can reap later. I call that well money. Wise with the talents he gave us. Yeah, that's how we coming. We ain't running, never back down. Even if we take the L, greater is the one that's in me. Then he that's in the world. We the first, cause we were last and now the roads flip. We the light and he keeps us on. The breaker never trips. We ain't running, never back down. Even if we take the L, greater is the one that's in me. Then he that's in the world. We the first, cause we were last. The roads are now flipped. We the light and he keeps us on. The breaker never trips.
I'm winning.